First of all, welcome and thank you for being here today. I'm Steve Morris. I'm the special agent in charge of the FBI here in Houston. Today we're here to discuss the latest developments in a 2.5-year investigation being conducted by the Houston Human Trafficking Task Force. This task force is comprised of representatives from several local, state, and federal agencies, many of which are led by my colleagues joining me here today. I'm sure you recognize some of these folks, but at this time I want to take an opportunity to introduce them as well as thank them publicly for their partnership and especially their support and commitment to the Human Trafficking Task Force. Behind me you'll see Harris County Sheriff Adrian Garcia, DHS Special Agent Brian Moskowitz, IRS CID Special Agent Lucy Cruz, Special Agent in charge of Diplomatic Security Service George Nutwell, DPS Region Commander Dwayne Steen, as well as DPS Major George Ryan, Texas Alcohol Beverage Commission TABC Major Randy Field, and Captain Charles Dunn from Houston Police Department. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for what your partnership and your friendship in this case and many others. Although we are here today to announce formal charges and provide some context regarding last night's enforcement operations, our main purpose here today for this press conference is to seek your help, seek the community's help. Earlier today, federal charges were filed against Hortensia Medelas Arguello, also known as Tencha, and 3 other individuals responsible for running an international sex trafficking ring right here in Houston. This ring victimized women and young girls who were brought here from Mexico and forced into the sex trade through violence and intimidation. I think most of you will agree that nowhere in the world, and especially right here in Houston, in our United States, should any human being be trafficked for profit or used as a reusable commodity. As you can see from the indictment, this investigation discovered women and children who were forced to work long hours in cantinas. They were sold to strangers for 15 minutes and sometimes beaten if customers complained or were not satisfied with their service. In some cases, when a cantina would close, these victims would be taken to other locations long after hours and continued to be abused early into the morning hours. Our task force has rescued 12 victims in the last 2.5 years. 5 of those victims from this modern-day slave trade were children. This is where you come in. We know there are more victims out there. We are not only pleading with potential victims to come forward and talk to somebody, seek help, but we're also asking for the public or any other individuals out there that might have information about this organization or any other individuals or organizations that they suspect may be involved in similar activities. If you do not feel comfortable coming forth here locally, we ask that you please call the National Human Trafficking Resource Center, which is a nonprofit organization, and they can be contacted at 888-3737-888. That's 888-3737-888. And lastly, we need your help in locating a fugitive in this case. 45-year-old Alfonso Angel Diaz Juarez, a Mexican national, and we have his picture up here, has been charged in connection with this case and may be in Mexico or possibly even here in Houston still. There is a reward for up to $5,000 for information leading to the arrest of Diaz Juarez, also known as Pancho. And you can help us capture this fugitive by calling Crime Stoppers or contacting the Houston FBI or any other law enforcement agency with information. So at this time, I want to turn it over to Sheriff Garcia for a few comments. And we will be taking some questions after a couple of folks have an opportunity to make a few comments.
Thank you, Special Agent in Charge Morris. First, let me just say that the Harris County community is proud of the work of the Houston FBI field office. And I want to thank Special Agent in Charge Morris for his support, his collaboration, and the fact that his agents have been having to work through very difficult circumstances. To that end, the Sheriff's Office is a very, very proud partner for today's occasion that we are members of the Human Trafficking Task Force that is led by the Houston FBI. Folks, there are evil people amongst us. The evidence that has been put before you on the indictment exemplifies the fact that these evildoers knew that they were exploiting children. The other important fact is that sex slavery is not occurring in a foreign country alone. It is happening in our own backyard. And so we need the help of everyone. In this particular case, if someone knew of the operation of what was occurring at these locations and has additional information, we have handcuffs to spare. We want more. Also, call if you are a victim, but also use the iWatch Harris County free mobile phone app to send us in texts, pictures, details, any evidence that we need to rescue additional victims, to find additional victims, or to find additional locations that are still in operation in our community. These investigations are amongst the most difficult to conduct. So I want to thank the members of the Harris County Sheriff's Office that work tirelessly to address these types of investigations. They're difficult, there are language barriers, there are cultural barriers, but above everything else, the children in this investigation, even the ones that are no longer by age children, but some started this horrific way of life, this forced way of life, by the promise of love, and the promise of luxury, and the promise of a better life. All are lies. And so if you are someone that is hearing similar stories, and your loved one is telling you, for the sake of our relationship, go have sex with strangers, you need to call us. This is something that has been a fundamental priority of mine as the Sheriff of Harris County, and we will continue to work alongside our state, federal, and local partners to do what we can to eradicate this problem. But at the end of the day, we need the input from the citizens. Do not remain quiet. One of the things that struck me as the news was covering interviews by community members was that people knew that there was all kinds of activity occurring, and yet the impression is that some just accepted it as the way that things happened in the neighborhood. Do not accept this as a way of life or as a quality of life in your community. Please use your mobile phone app, iWatch Harris County, because with your help, we can make more arrests and save more victims. Now let me introduce Brian Moskowitz, Special Agent in Charge of the Homeland Security Investigations.
Thank you, Sheriff. Good afternoon. You know, more than a century and a half ago, the 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution eliminated slavery and indentured servitude in this country. Yet here we are in 2013, and it is alive and well. Human trafficking is a crime that is very much misunderstood by the public. Human trafficking is a crime that thrives, and human traffickers thrive when the public and when victims don't understand that they are victims. And it's so incredibly important for events like this, for you in the media, to help educate the public as to what a human trafficking victim looks like. Trafficking victims are not limited by age or sex or race or national origin. Any one of us can be a human trafficking victim under the right circumstances. We like to say that trafficking victims are often hidden in plain sight. And I guarantee you that throughout your days and the course of your normal activities, the public will come in contact with people who are potential human trafficking victims. And sadly, they probably don't realize it. And so, to echo Sheriff Garcia's comments, if you see something that isn't right, if you see something in a business, and it doesn't have to be just the sex trade, there is a whole other aspect of human trafficking that's called labor trafficking, where people are forced to work through force, fraud, or coercion. So it's so important to go out to the resources that are available to educate yourself as to what a human trafficking victim looks like, and by all means act. Call us and let us know so we can do something. And lastly, I just want to thank the men and women of the task force for their hard work on this case and for helping bringing these victims out of a life of slavery. Thank you.